Let's focus a little bit, because you mentioned your films on Bosnia and Libya. Let's focus a little bit on your own perspective as a filmmaker, because it's true, Bernard, that this issue, or these issues, these humanitarian issues, genocide, civil rights, religious rights, this is something that has occupied you since the early 70s, at least, since you were in Bangladesh. Why do you keep, what is it about this particular set of issues that attracts you as an intellectual and as a filmmaker?
Like you, Ben, and like all of you, I suppose, because I'm proud to be an European, as you are probably proud to be Americans. We have an inner. You are, yes. America. I'm sorry. Trump will pass. America will stay. Pass. I mean, he will have a successor. America will remain. America is a rock. No. So, when you are proud of your values, you have a natural tendency to illustrate them. And not only illustrate, when you know that in a remote place of the world, there are some people who put these remote values at the center of their life, and that they just need an endorsement, they just need a recognition, they just need a support against Erdogan, against Khamenei, against Putin. If you can, how could you not provide this moral support? For me, it's as simple as that. For a writer, you have two possible attitudes, honestly, and the two are respectable, one as another. You can be a pure writer, totally devoted to your books, thinking that you change the world by writing, and that you deal with the human condition, with the dark side of it. This is one position. I don't know, Gustave Flaubert to Philip Roth, okay? And it is respectable. You can, there is a lot of writers who thought that their books were bombs and that it was enough to write books. And you have others who commit themselves. When you commit yourself, when you believe in commitment into the world, how could you do it half? How could you be happy with just signing petitions in newspapers? No. When you are spirit of when you are consistent, and when you have the means to do it, when you have the health, the body, and the means, you try to do that, of course. In my case, I like that. I like cinema. I like images. I edit a film exactly as I write a book. I shoot a plan exactly as I find a word. So for me, it's evident, since Bosnia is 25 years ago, a quarter of a century, and I will hopefully do more. Let's hope.
And do you anticipate that when you do more that you'll be going back to the Middle East, or are there other parts of the world that you would focus on?
I don't exactly know. For the moment, to be completely honest, I am involved in a new project, but not images, not film, but it could be. I am traveling since a few weeks. I'm traveling in 5, maybe 6, maybe 7 places of the world where we have now, at this very minute, terrible wars, rather undocumented, and which nevertheless can have a huge influence on the course of the world. My first stop was in Nigeria, where there is a huge persecution of Christians by Islamists. I wrote a long story about that, which was published here in America in the Wall Street Journal 3 or 4 weeks ago. I just did another story about Kurdistan, which is in a way the follow-up of what you saw, but now the Kurdistan under Erdogan, the Kurdistan taken in between these two terrible beasts, which are Iran and Turkey, and there will be 4 or 5 others. So, not Middle East. Maybe I'm going to go probably in eastern Ukraine, in Donbass, where the West has another strong enemy, who is Putin, who has idea of the world which is exactly the opposite of what we believe in here and in Paris and other places. So for me, I like writing philosophy. I like writing literature, but I like doing that too. And especially when I have a feeling, the story I published in Paris Match in France and Wall Street Journal in America about Nigeria, I was happy and proud to have written it because few people knew, honestly. Few people knew, even among the Christians, who should be on the front line of the defense of their brothers in Saul in Nigeria, it was rather unknown. So when I can do that, when I can give a warning, when I can be a sort of intellectual whistleblower in Nigeria or here, when I began the long travel of the first movie, Peshmerga, these 700 miles, I had the feeling to do good whistleblowing. You have dirty whistleblowing, you know that in America, but sometimes you have good one. And I remember when I took the road, when I decided to hit the road at the beginning of this road movie, I had the feeling to do something good, something useful, something which, as I said before the beginning, which would add a little quantity of knowledge to the general knowledge and to the general reasons we have to fight. This was the peak of the fight against Daesh. So, we'll see.
Let me come back to one of the themes in the films which you touched on just now, which is the treatment of Christians in that part of the world. It's very striking to me that you, as a French Jewish intellectual, you were raising this, and you were raising the flag of the Christians and the persecution of Christians. Were you surprised at the relative lack of concern in Europe and America